the one and only sexy mama, LaDonna Ray.
LaDonna Ray Show. Hey everybody, I am so happy. I'm sitting here with Pops. I never call him that, but it just sounded right. And Dad, thanks you for all your prayers as well. But today is his last in rehab. Not drug rehab, not what you're thinking. Physical rehab. We are gonna get Dad up and running. Yes, he laughed. Here we go. All right, Dad. Say hello. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dad. So, what's the first thing? What have you been? First of all, welcome to the show. But I want to say it has been kind of scary these past couple of months, even more so than before. When you when you were told that you had to go through rehab, did you understand why? Yeah. What would you say to other people out there that same situation?
If I was there, we can be strong.
So for those of you that don't know, Dad had a stroke 4 years ago. Was working just fine. Aneurysm. Yes, that's part of it. So they had to do, and he was in the hospital quite some time. They released him home. He had no mobility, you will. So he Shirley Ryan. They got him to the point where he could walk on a walker and use his right and left hand feed himself. But it was a struggle at first. Did outpatient therapy, but watching my father go walker was very difficult for me, for us, because I have brothers too. But I don't want to minimize how difficult it had to be for you, knowing that just yesterday you were up and running around, going up the crane, up the stairs of the crane, going to work, being with your coworkers, friends, and suddenly you were just in the midst of four walls. I know that had to be over the moon for you, not in a good way, but
Yeah.
yeah, how did you feel? Like you were terrified.
Yes.
What were you scared of?
What could I do? I didn't think I was going to be able to do anything.
So you were afraid of losing your independence.
Yes. Yes.
Now, after going to countless doctor's appointments and physical therapy, cardiologists, because you're dealing with a lot of things. You had the stroke, the aneurysm, congestive heart failure, COPD, and then a year later, almost to the day, you were diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Asbestos exposure. Had a heart attack. I don't
You
know why I'm sitting here.
you still standing? Well, you sitting right now.
But Yeah.
I remember the heart attack. I couldn't believe it. It was in 2006.
Yes.
I remember getting a phone call that you had had a heart attack. And I think in my mind, I kind of felt like you'll bounce back because you did. But that was just the start of it all. That congestive heart failure, that impacts your breathing. I know that's on top
That
of,
was the worst one of all.
yeah,
I couldn't walk 10 feet without.
being out of breath. In fact, you're supposed to be on oxygen right now. Well, I'm waiting for them to bring the kit so that it's nice and clean. No, don't put that on, Dad. It's not clean.
It's my turn.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't want that on there. But along with all of that, once you were diagnosed with cancer, your wife died of cancer.
Yes.
So did my aunt, which was your aunt, basically my great aunt,
Yes.
and it has been in our family. What went through your mind when you were told you had cancer?
It just keeps getting better.
Mm,
One thing after another.
yeah. I saw the look on your face. It looked like, what else can there be? That's what it looked like.
Why?
You worked 50 years. And ladies and gentlemen, I had to do a crash course on retirement. Like, my father's part of the union. I had to deal with union reps, benefits managers, insurance companies, the cancer treatment center. It was a crash course on, okay, you take a leave of absence, that runs out. We're trying to appeal this. And then we had to force retirement. We also went through a scare, Dad. Do you remember when they canceled the insurance
Yes.
for missing a payment that Dad was used to making? He was used to paying his insurance automatically, but when you retire, you got to change your method of payment. We had missed a payment and they were quick to cancel them. Let me tell you, I had to write the letter to the gods because it had to have every detail why our mailman had disappeared. There was stacks of mail that we were not getting. So there were, I mean, what else could happen? So with not getting this mail and knowing that, hey, you're 30 days late, you're 60 days late,
How
you're
did I
up for
know? Because I was getting
cancellation,
ready to get the mail.
never got the mail. And so in calling them, they said, listen, you get one reinstatement per lifetime. And we had to make it count. So we got reinstated. And during that time, your PSA levels went up. So with prostate cancer,
Hello.
hi.
I was looking for him. I forgot that they moved his
I really.
room number.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're going home tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is good news. You're his therapist that we were working with the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think last
Yep.
week.
Yep.
Yeah, last week.
Yes.
So I'm assigned again to him because it's the last day. So
Yes.
we're just gonna go over the goals if he
Okay.
has achieved those. I still have to eat my lunch, so
Okay.
I was just
Yeah.
looking for
Checking
him.
in. Thank you so
Because I
much.
went to his old room and,
Uh-huh.
and they told me no, it's a different.
He's here.
Patient.
Yeah.
I said, oh. And then I checked my schedule. I remembered. I think last week is when he was moved here.
Yes.
When I
Mhm.
was doing like an evaluation with
Mhm. With Eddie.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you,
I'll be back
Ronaldo.
later,
Okay.
Thank you.
So when those PSA numbers went up, we were shocked. It was almost like a slap in the face. Like we did all this work.
I'm about to get shot. He said he could be mad at him.
No, they're gonna bring you another. You're gonna
But
put
they
it on.
might be back to your old niggas thing.
We'll make sure that won't happen. So when those PSA numbers went up, we had to jump into action. You remember? And then the PSA went down. The PSA levels went way down, like almost non-detectable, and the cancer was almost, we can almost say, in remission. But then the worst happened. Well, no, the cancer didn't even come back. That congestive heart failure came back. Like it came back strong with a vengeance. And Dad, I just want to say that I called my mom the other day and I told her what a strong, I wanted to say strong old bird she was, but I don't know if she's ready for that. But she has been strong because she was also diagnosed just a year ago with lung cancer. So I'm a sandwich kid because I have kids that I have at home, and then I have my parents. And my mother is 56 miles away from me. It takes 100, well, I should say an hour and 20 minutes to get to her. It takes me 20 minutes to get to you.
I'm sorry for being a pain in the ass. I feel like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
know I am.
okay.
You agreeing with me?
I'm not agreeing. I'm just listening. I'm gonna let you talk.
Well, as soon as he got here, the chest got tight.
Oh, you know what? So let's put it back
As soon
on.
as he walked in, my chest got tight.
Is your chest tight? Okay, we can't chance that. So here, you put this on. Use both hands.
I was fine, G, till I saw you.
Yeah.
It's off. It's not on.
I know. I'm gonna turn it on now. Oxygen coming out. Hi, excuse me.
It's on.
Hi, can he get another kit? I asked the social worker because this one looks like it's been on a while. It's really dirty.
Okay, I'll let the nurse know.
Okay, that's what she said.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I've been coming back in here now. You know I've been helping y'all.
No, that was since then. That was since you've been in here. I asked her because I gave her my concerns. Yeah,
Okay.
I gave her my concerns, and that was one of them that I just discovered because it came off after you took his you changed his gown, so I wouldn't have known.
Okay.
And when I looked at it, I was like, oh no.
Let me let her know.
But now his chest is getting tight, so we have no choice.
Lorena, you need another tube for the oxygen.
Thank you.
She said she got to get it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See, this is great. So, once that congestive heart failure came back with a vengeance, your breathing impacted your mobility even more. Because even though you were walking on the walker, you get out of breath doing that. So it makes you want to sit all day. And your body it starts going into what's called atrophy, where your muscles start saying, oh, we're not using them. Let's just go away. I'm not saying they died, but they did go into dormant stage where you weren't using them. Now, this most recent hospital stay was because of what? Do you remember how you ended up in the hospital?
Because I didn't take my water pills.
You did not take your medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, my father stopped taking his water pills.
I would never ever not take my pills again.
He got tired of getting up and going to pee throughout the night. But the good thing was you could get up and go pee.
Yes.
But when that happened, my father called me on a Sunday. Yep, it was a Sunday morning. Well, yeah, because it was ringing early. And I usually I take care of my dad on Sundays. That was our day, but it moved because it was Friday. So I had been there the Friday before. Well, I ended up getting really, really sick. I got COVID, had 102 fever, could barely get out of the bed, was sweating and freezing at the same time. Phone rang. Only thing my dad said out of his mouth was, I can't breathe.
He said, I'm on my way.
Yep. And it took everything to get over there because I'm the only one with a key. So it's not like I can call somebody else, call the fire department, ambulance, 911. I mean, I can if there's some real well, that was a real, but I got the key and he couldn't get to the door. So we came, saw my dad. He didn't look like himself. I didn't look like myself. We were both looking crazy. I said, Dad, you got to go to the hospital. I'll be all right after a while.
Let me wait a couple of days.
Right. I said, Dad, you need to go to the hospital. No, I'm okay. I don't want to go no emergency room. Ooh. And I'm sick myself, so I'm like, well, shoot, I don't either, But I called my cousin Buddha and my brother Buddha. It was both of them. And my cousin Buddha came by and said, you going to the hospital. He did one of my numbers. But let me tell you something. I'm glad that he did because when he got to the hospital, they found that he was full of carbon dioxide.
He drained 16 pounds of fluid off my chest.
Yes. and pneumonia.
16 pounds
Yeah,
of fluid.
you did look pregnant. Twins. And you had pneumonia.
My knees look like water balloons.
They did. Yeah. They were big. He had big knees and his ankles were big. And it was like, come on, man. And then my father told me at towards the end of before I had to leave, he said, I ain't gonna lie. I stopped taking my water pill.
Well, there's a reason why
I
they're like
was
that.
I was beyond upset. But
I didn't
dad
realize the importance of those things. I really didn't.
so when dad got to the hospital, they discovered that his kidneys had suffered great damage. In fact, they were talking about doing temporary dialysis. The word dialysis is scary because you already know the commitment. Once you are in need of dialysis, you know the commitment is real. And
Never had any so far.
right, but they said it could be reversed if. Okay, so they had to drain all the water and do what they needed to do. But on top of that, there was some back and forth. They weren't giving him physical therapy. This was at the University of Chicago. So they did not give him physical therapy. Therefore, he laid in the bed for 2.5 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay. For 2 weeks, he was in the bed, not moving. He wore a diaper, had a urinal, couldn't feed himself.
I never knew him. I had that.
How did you use the bathroom?
He had a cap on.
Oh, a catheter. I forgot about that. Yeah. He had a catheter. Because look, my mother was also, she went into the hospital a week later. And it was like, both are in the hospital. Guess what she had? Water on the lungs, kidney problems, and they both have cancer. Both of them had the same thing. They were fighting the same battle at the same time. So literally, I had to find a way to get out there, and I did. But it, for those of you that have parents, that sounds stupid. For those of you that have parents that seem fine, take the time to sit down about what to do in case of an emergency.
Hi,
Hey there.
are you busy?
No problem.
Oh, so I just got off the phone with LifeTech, and they said they were not able to dispense new portable tanks or change any settings because he has an outstanding balance. So,
Well, I'll get on the phone with them
okay,
because he needs to have
that's
his.
what I told them.
Yeah.
But in the interim, would you like me to order through another company that does take his insurance? And he wouldn't tell me. So he's like, I got to talk to the family, and I'm like, yeah, but he's had it, I think, for a couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, for my understanding, that it's been a regular order
Yep.
that should not have been.
But he didn't really need it because he was as needed, right?
yeah.
So it was sporadic with the orders.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
still,
But
it's
still,
covered
yeah.
because as needed means he needs it at some time.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a standing order.
Thank you.
So I just want to let you know.
Thank
if
you.
you want to give him a call,
Yeah.
find out what that balance
Yeah.
is. But you can't just cut people off without telling them.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
so
Linda.
I'll keep you updated. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So remember, I was saying you have to have those courageous conversations with your parents, even if they're doing fine. What happens in case of an emergency? Watch this. We were getting oxygen 4 years ago from a company called Life Tech. Because dad has insurance, they still billed us after a certain number of months, I believe it was. And those bills came in heavily. So we're paying on the bills, but they're billing us for something we're not even using because dad wasn't in need of oxygen that often. So when we made the call and said that we don't need as much as they were sending, they reduced the number of units that they were sending out, but the bill didn't seem to change. So when we asked the insurance company about it, we were told that so much of it was not covered. Now she's saying, this is a social worker that just came in here. She's saying that his insurance should be covering it, and she's going to go through a different company. We requested that 4 years, 3 years, 2 years ago. So you have to have these courageous conversations, and now we have to go back and retroactively look at the invoices and apply it to the insurance if something was missed, if someone wasn't on their job. But these are all nuances that we need to be ready to should I say address, because when you're dealing with you, like I haven't been to a doctor's appointment and that I should have. I've missed a lot of my own doctor's appointments because I'm focusing on their doctor's appointments and my kids' doctor's appointments. But I'm no good if I'm not going to the doctor. Okay, so I'm just sharing this with you openly. It's not a oh my goodness, you're so none. It's none of that. I'm sharing with you that when you see those commercials with finding a place for mom or somebody being a caregiver to a parent and they look like they're just the best of friends, that's a commercial. Okay, I'm here to tell you that's just a commercial. My father has called me mean. He told me he loved me, then he said he didn't mean it. I told him I'm not moved by it because I already know we were in the moment. Because when your parents are being stubborn, when you say take your medicine, here it is, and they don't take it, you can't make them unless you put it down. It's just a lot of push and pull. Then you might get a little authoritative. Okay,
Take it from now on.
you
No
go
problem.
see what I'm saying. He had to end up here in order to listen.
I didn't realize.
So you get frustrated because you try to make them realize before the points. But this is not one of those. This is not for that. I wanted to share this with you so that you can be prepared. And those of you that are taking care of your parents, it's a daunting task in some instances.
Here again.
Okay, well Dad got to pee every 20 minutes. Hold on, y'all. We gotta take a break. Here we go. Okay, I'll turn this away. It's only on me. Wait, here we go. Okay. All right. So when you hear people talk about, taking care of their parents, and you want to be as known as possible, but you also want to be realistic. I don't know how some people told me make sure you're taking time for you. And I always feel like I'll get to me later. Because essentially that's what I end up having to do. This. You got your kids, you got your church, you got your business, you got the work, you still gotta feed everybody. And I don't charge my parents, right? Um Shout out to my mom. My mom has been going through her cancer treatment by herself. I went to her for a few appointments, but that's not enough. I'm here to tell you that. I just want to give a shout out to Linda, my mother, because she went through her cancer treatment, and and she has been being okay. I help her remotely, so I'll call the doctor. I'll make sure the prescriptions are sent and picked up and all that stuff. I heard you, Dad. I'll make sure all that stuff is done. But physically being there has been next to impossible because I have small children and need. Well, they're not small; they're taller than me. But I got to pick them up and get them back home from school and all of those things. Make sure they're at their activities. Make sure I can get work done, and then squeeze my dad in when possible. So unfortunately, that's how it's been. Um, there you go, and he's back. All right, let's see. Okay, now what you eating there, Dad?
Real quick.
Are you gonna change your diet when you get home?
I'm gonna get some good food.
Well, I'm asking you, are you going to change your diet? Are you going to cut back on a little bit of salt?
A little bit. Yes, I
Okay.
will cut back on a little bit.
Okay, because that's what your blood pressure's been great since you've been gone away from home.
I know.
Now you go back home and have high blood pressure. That means that you're the problem.
I'm not gonna eat a lot, just a little bit.
You can wean yourself off of it. Maybe we can try Mrs. Dash.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
That's supposed to be like a salt additive.
Yes. Yes, we can try Mrs. Dash. Um, okay, so if you have any suggestions, concerns, questions, anything of that nature, let me know. Put it in the inbox. But I want to let you know that I'm congratulating you, Dad, because you have gone through this journey and you are on your way home tomorrow. I know you
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see your smile. Your
Yes,
going home
ma'am.
smile. Yeah, with that cookie in your hand. All right,
No
guys.
frozen.
No, no salt in that cookie. Only sugar, though. Okay. I know. This food that they have shoved in our faces is not good for us. That's why we have to make a decision to eat right. All right, I'm gonna sign off, guys. See you on the other side next time I go live. Check out the other lives that I've posted. We did one last night talking about. Did you hear about Carmel, the young man named Carmelo Anthony that stabbed? He was black. He stabbed a white guy, a white boy named Metcalf rather, and he died. So now there's, you've got the black community really calling for, should I say, a fair opportunity for him to state his case and be considered not a criminal, not a murderer. But as a mother, if that was my baby that was stabbed, I wouldn't care what color you are because my child is gone. So we talked about that extensively last night. We had some callers, some people from Clubhouse chimed in, and I just definitely want you guys to check that out and let me know what you think. But I'll see you another time. Subscribe, comment, and share. Bye bye for now. What do you think, Dad?
Okay.
All right.
The one and only sexy mama, LaDonna Ray.